Hey guys, welcome back to The Ice Project. Thanks for tuning in as always. Hope you guys are paying your fee, tagging me in your story. I haven't had a guest on in a while, but I'm looking forward to today's one. Been a friend of mine for a little while, but for now, roll the intro.
Welcome to the Ice
Yeah, good.
You like that one, eh?
Welcome to the Ice.
Referred to as ice.
Call me whatever you want, brother. What's going on?
Mate, thank you very much for having me in the headquarters today. It's an amazing setup you got here. I'm
You
looking
like
forward
it?
to it. Yeah, I really do. It's good to see the boys' mugs on the sidewalk as you come in here.
Yeah, anytime they're in the office too.
Nah, it's good, man. It's good. I'm looking forward to getting down into it with you today, man. And it's really good to see what you've been up to.
Yeah, it's good to catch up on the weekend too. Have a few beers.
Yeah, a few too many tequilas, I think, mate. Stay away from me.
Gee, done all right with the missus. She's a good sort, eh?
Get off it, bro. Batting overs, you reckon?
Yeah, I think we all are,
Yeah,
man.
nah.
Do you know
It's
what?
good though.
If you can talk, well, it helps. You know what I mean? Dating
Yeah.
girls later
Yeah,
in life.
It does help, mate. It
Learn how to
definitely
speak, guys. Learn how to speak. It's important.
Got to be smooth.
Yeah. All right. For the people in the podcast who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Sam Webb. I'm the co-founder of the mental health and suicide prevention organisation in Australia called Livin. Outside of Livin, I do a little bit of dabbling in the acting world, so to speak, too. But yeah, I'm very excited to come down here today and chat all things life with us.
Where you from? Where'd you grow up?
Mate, I grew up on the Gold Coast, spent most of my life up in Queensland. I was born here in New South Wales, so I'm a proud Blues supporter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at heart, absolutely. You be hating that.
I'm a Kiwi. I don't give
Yeah,
a fuck.
come on, mate. You, I saw you in those photos going for the Queenslanders back in Normie. Unlucky. Nah.
Would have been good for the business if you won. I reckon.
Yeah, it would have been great for it.
I'm riding YKTR.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, spent most of my life up in Queensland, went to high school and then university up there, and then went across to America for a little bit before I ventured back to Sydney, where I've been between here and LA for the better part of the last 5.5 years.
Yeah. So yeah, just growing up, like, what were you like as a kid? Like, give us some context.
Mate, I was probably the world's worst kid growing up.
What kind of, like, naughty?
Just very, I was always involved in mischievous acts, I guess, growing up. I was always up to
Any
trouble.
details or?
What sort of details do you want? I used to do, you name it, I probably did it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't the best kid growing up, man. I was, I learned a lot of lessons as a young person and got mixed up with the wrong crowds at a very young age. And, you know, I learned a lot from my mistakes in life, and, you know, I'm continuing to learn from my mistakes that I make today. And I live by the mantra that I'm a student of life, and I think we all are.
100%. So when did you get into the little living game?
Yeah, absolutely. So Livin started in 2013 after a very dear friend of Casey Lyons, who's the other co-founder, and myself, took his own life. Dwayne Lally took his own life the night of September 15, 2013, and it's a night that I'll never forget. The ripple effect that Dwayne's life had on an entire community was life-changing for me in particular, and I realised that for a lot of people, the mantra "I'm fine" masks a lot of pain for a lot of people. And
Is it bigger here in Australia, that line?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that especially for males, I mean, 8 people a day in this country are taking their own life. It's
Really?
reported, and out of those 8, 6 of them are males. And you know, Dwayne was the life of the party. He hid the pain extremely well. And, you know, I was very fortunate enough to have spent the last few hours with Dwayne before he passed. And, you know, we were at a party and Dwayne reassured me life was great and, you know, his future looked bright and promising. And I remember the last few words that he said to me was, "Webb, I'm fine." And they were the last words that really stuck to me. And I thought I listened as best as I possibly could have. Dwayne did open up to me that night, as I did for him. But because I feel like I wasn't being so open and vulnerable myself, I wasn't listening as best as I possibly could have. I didn't know that was the last time I was going to see Dwayne in living form. And that changed my entire life.
Yeah, suicide, it's such a weird one, eh? Like, because I don't fully understand it, and you'd be able to talk to it, like, talk on the subject better than I would. And I've had people come through my inboxes saying, "Oh, I've contemplated suicide, but listen to your podcasts and vlogs," and, like, I kind of don't know what to say off the back of it. You know what I mean? It feels like hard on me. Do I push them towards you guys, or like what do I say? You can't really pick it up. And, like, some of the people that have said it to me, I look at their Instagram profiles and stuff. You wouldn't even know.
Nah, and that's the thing. It's an extremely complex topic, and I don't think anyone has the answers because there is no single answer that you can do. And I think you mentioned a really good point there. You get a few people flooding the inboxes saying I'm suicidal, and you don't know what to say. that's one of the biggest problems that we all face, because some, in life we look for solutions, in work, in life, in relationships, we're looking to solve problems, especially as males. And I think with mental illness and mental health challenges, it's probably the one area that people aren't looking for problem solvers.
Why?
Because you can't solve those problems directly right there and then. It's more of a thing you need to manage, and you need to get the right help and the right support to be able to get back on track and start living again. And I think some of the most important advice that I've received in my life is the fact that we've all got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we must listen twice as much as we speak.
That's a good one, eh? Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you do, you're hearing from people what they actually truly want. And I reflect the night that Dwayne passed, and I asked myself, was I listening truthfully? Was I properly listening with my 2 ears?
Oh, we was on the piss in that?
Yeah,
or?
we were. We were on the we were drinking. It was at his place, and I don't think I was listening as best as I possibly could have.
Did you think he knew that he was going to do it that night, and then that was a sort of like last hurrah, or was it?
Mate, I wish I knew. I mean, there's a lot of different things we can say and believe, but I really
speculating, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know. He hid the pain extremely well, and everything that we do around living is breaking the stigma and the taboo around mental health, so people can have those conversations without it being too late down the line. Because far too many people are dying far too many great people are dying also at young ages.
What's worse, someone saying I'm fine, or not someone saying nothing at all?
It's a really good question. What's better, you think, saying I'm fine or nothing at all? I think it'd be better if people just didn't say I'm fine.
Yeah.
Said something else, because it's very easy for us to sit here right now. I look at you in the eyes and you can say I'm fine. It's very easy to tell someone something that they don't believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sort of run with it. But
what are red flags like?
Depends on how close you are to the person. Oftentimes you spend a lot of time with a partner or a loved one or a friend. You'd pick up things that probably aren't normal, whether it's not being as sociable as a warning sign, being disconnected, change in behaviour, moods, maybe someone used to always shake your hand really strong and look at you in the eyes. Nowadays they're maybe not turning up to those sports games or hanging out with people as much. And when they shake your hand, they're maybe looking down and it's not as strong anymore. They're all body language, man. It's such a big part of our lives.
That's crazy, eh? Because I wouldn't even think of because I'm sort of upbeat and going similar to yourself as well, and I hang around guys that are upbeat, and I don't hang around too many people. Like, I know a lot of people, but I don't hang around, and I wouldn't even think to look for these cues, you know what I mean? I'd just go, oh, he must be like having a down day. Like, that wouldn't even cross my mind. Like, hey, bro, what's going on? And then like start talking, and then it's scary. It's I might even start looking out for it now. Yeah,
it's made it, and then there's so many. Like, I'm not a qualified, and I want to make this clear, I'm not a qualified mental health professional by any means. I'm just learning, and I have learned a lot over the years, and there really isn't one sign you can see, because you could be the most positive, happiest person in the room. And
you've seen that in Hollywood, haven't you? Like, some of the comedians, like, they spend so much time like trying to make other people laugh, they sort of forget about themselves. And it's like, you just never know. Like, I remember the story that really hit me hard back in the day was the Rennie Matua one. In football, because when I looked at Rennie, like, he was just like the good-looking dude, you know what I mean? It was like him, Sonny Bill, Willie, Tonga, but they were the guys I used to like look up to and go, fuck, these guys
legends.
Are cool, yeah. And like, you just never would have known, eh? And then he come out and started talking about it and started raising awareness for it, and I like, even though, like, sometimes I look at it, I was like, bro, surely that kind of be, you just never know, eh?
You really don't know, man. And Rennie is an amazing advocate for the cause. He's done some great work, and I mean, I think more people with a profile that speak up that you least expect it from, I think gives hope to people who are suffering in silence, and it makes it more okay for them to speak up and ask, for help. Because for a lot of people, speaking up and asking for help can be the difference between, maybe getting your life back on track or maybe never seeing yourself again.
So
it's very important, and these things are happening every single day. I believe it or not, I've got a friend who's took his life last week, and he's
really?
As we speak, and it's like, he used to support Livin. He used to wear Livin all the time, and you just don't know, man. People just don't. Sometimes you just don't have the answers, and that's right. You've just got to be there as best as you can for someone,
and that's okay. Like, don't pass judgment on yourself, even if you are that person. You know what I mean?
What person for what?
Like, so you're being the guy that's been like the best mate and you're the last person he's talked to. Like, how long do you have to carry that burden for? Do you know, that would have been fucking hard.
Very hard, man. And I probably channeled a lot of it back into Livin and the work that we're doing in the community. And that's more of my motivations behind it. But I think no one's responsible. You did what you knew in the moment of time, given the information that you had. Please don't beat yourself up about it, because you just sometimes can't see it. You just don't know. And that's you've done what you can do. It's not yours. It's always a two-way street. You did what you could do, and from that moment onwards, it's out of your control. Okay, because I mean, and this is to just to be brutally honest. I mean, you can't lead a horse. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink it. You know, you could hold someone back and try and save them for the rest of your life, but if they don't want to be here, and that's something that's causing them like those problems and those thoughts, they will find a way to do it. It's just the way it is.
Can I ask you a tough question?
Sure.
Have you ever struggled with mental health issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had my own mental health challenges. Yeah.
What have they been?
What do they mean?
No, what have they been?
Oh, what have they been, mate? Anxiety. I suffer from anxiety on a daily basis.
Really?
And it's just, probably managing it as best as I can. Yeah, absolutely.
What does anxiety feel like?
Just feel overwhelmed, feeling like it's just too much going on and just a little bit anxious, just on edge. It feels like for me, and again, if you've got anxiety, sometimes your feelings might be different to mine. So I can't sit here, and the worst thing you can say to someone who might be suffering with a mental health challenge or whatever it is I know exactly how you feel, because you don't know exactly how they feel, because everyone's very different. For me,
that's so true, eh?
Yeah, it is. No one's exactly the same.
It's a common answer that a lot of people say, like, I know how you feel.
It's the worst thing you can say. Oh, don't worry, man. Hard enough. We'll get over it.
We've all been there.
We've all been there.
Yeah, shit
it's
like
the worst thing you can say to someone. And, you know, for me, I know, like, mine's fine. It actually, enough anxiety for me is actually very productive in my life. It helps me drive. I've got a lot of energy. But
you do have a lot of energy, don't you?
I do, mate, fucking too much sometimes. But in saying that, for me, you know, it's a bit on edge, maybe feeling like I'm always alert, you know, I'm always fight or flight sometimes, I feel like. But these days it's not as bad as it used to be, but I mean, I get anxious from time to time, and that's just the honest truth. But it helps me better understand what we're dealing with here.
Because I feel like it's great that you brought up them sort of answers, because I've said those answers to people that have come to me, and like, I can't talk on suicide or mental health because I've never really had those issues, you know what I mean? And the best thing I can do as a person is get people in like you and sort of just have these conversations and ask these types of questions. And we had a guy, Travis Young, come through, and and he's had 5 or 6 messages, and he always sends them through to me and people checking into rehab just by opening up and have the conversation. And you built a company around that. You should be something you should be super proud of.
Yeah, thanks, man. And Travis a legend. He's spoken up about his challenges, and it's you know, it's very.
His one's quite common too, because like the stuff that he does that was his gateway into addiction is the stuff I do like on the weekend, and most Australian guys do, like have a bear, like get on the slap on the punt, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's just everyday Australian stuff or New Zealand stuff that we do, and I still do it, but I'm mindful. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, and you can manage it. I mean, for some people, it becomes unmanageable, and that's when it becomes a problem, you know. And you know, everyone's very different. Mental health challenges don't discriminate. I think it's better off speaking about it and getting a better understanding about how it affects you as a person, because it's just part of who you are, and it shouldn't be looked at as a negative.
So someone who's listening to this podcast right now that's struggling with a mental illness, what do you suggest to them right now? Do you find and that they feel like they can't have anyone to talk to? Is there any alternatives that can drag them out on their own? Is it exercise? Is it like...
Absolutely. There's a pardon me. There's a few things you can do. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk, but I mean, we've only got a limited amount of time. I think first things first. I think it's first thing to accept that you're not doing well. I think is a big part of it.
How do you accept it? Do you have to say it out loud, or is it
maybe saying it out loud, writing it down? Some people write it down. Telling someone or confiding in someone that they trust, I think, is a really big one. But knowing when to accept help and knowing that you need help is one of the greatest achievements on the wellness journey, I think, to getting better and back on track. And you can speak to someone that you trust. That could be a friend, a family member, a GP.
Sometimes it's
doctor.
Random, eh?
Sometimes it's random. It might be jumping on our website or a website and finding other lived experiences from people who have challenged very similar experiences and have come through the other side. And listening and reading what they've done to get through it might you know, you might take and choose some things in their journey that might actually help you, because unfortunately it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I used to do a lot of exercise, but some people can't even get out of bed, you know. So for me going, why don't you just go for a run? Running releases positive endorphins. It makes you feel good. It's not the case for everybody. They might like painting. They might like walking a dog. They might like reading a book. You know what I mean? Everyone's very different, so I can't sit here and say what worked for me is going to work for everyone, because it won't. But hand on heart, with the right level of support and the right help, I've seen thousands of people get back on track and live a very normal life.
Modern day hero. So Australia, where do we sit in the suicide ranks in terms of the world?
Yeah, we are definitely, Australia sits almost at the very top.
What? Really?
Yeah, we have the highest suicide rate from an Indigenous population. But I mean,
would you have the rates on New Zealand as well? Would you know?
I don't.
Similar?
I don't have them on me, but they're extremely high. I mean, I think there's a lot of countries that are very high, and there's people that are in the top 10 part of the death statistics in countries. I mean, in the States, suicide is a leading cause of death, you know, for people under 50. So I mean, it's really about speaking about it early, getting the help when you need it,
why
and collaborating.
Why do you think is in Australia? Like, we live in probably one of the most beautiful countries in the world. We get plenty of sunlight. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, great beaches. Like, why is it here?
I think a big part of it is definitely to do with mateship and just the tough Aussie way of living as a male, especially. As I said before, there's over 3,000 people per annum or per year that die or take their own life, and 6 out of the 8 people every day that die by suicide are men, or are male, I should say. So I think a lot of it's got to do with acknowledging how you feel, being okay to speak up, getting help without trying to be the tough guy, the guy with all the answers, someone to carry your burden of being unwell, you know?
Because that's how we grow up, don't we? Like, we go in sports teams, like, you get a little knock, get up, like, harden up, like, do you know what I mean? Oh, she'll be all right.
Don't cry, and the girls cry, and like, you shouldn't be expressing your emotions. Go play sport, don't read and don't paint. That's all girl, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of space.
I used to get paid out for reading in football.
Yeah, wow.
I was like 23, 24, and
wow.
like, oh, what the fuck are you reading for?
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, even taking photos and stuff, like, people go, bro, like, don't do that.
Sorry,
do what I
mate.
want.
Yeah, fuck off, idiot. But mate, 100%, and I think it all comes down to just being open. And I think as Australian males, and I can only talk from my experiences, is we're all very macho men, modern day masculinity, tough, strong, confident, breadwinners in the family. We've got to support the ones that we love. We can't show any signs of weakness because that's a flaw when really it's not.
Being sensitive is a strength, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. Being vulnerable is a strength because you're giving permission to other people to be vulnerable as well. If I sat here all day, every day, and you didn't feel safe around me and you didn't trust me, and I'm tough, I've never struggled with anything, you're probably not going to open up to me, are you? Because you're going to think I'm going to be judgmental, like this guy's not going to understand it because he's never been there. Whereas if we're in a conversation and I'm talking to you and I'm like, man, I had a fucking bad day last week. I was so anxious, couldn't even get out of my house. I was on edge. Do you ever feel like you're more inclined to building trust with someone, and you're more inclined to getting them to open up and tell you about their challenges? And sometimes that can be the difference between saving someone's life. And you might be the only person that they've spoken to about their challenges. And don't ever take that for granted, because you might be the only person in their life that they've spoken to about those challenges. So listen. You don't have to have the answers. Just listen. Just be there for them.
So true. And I find myself in those conversations all the time. Like, I feel like I'm one of them people that people open up to me. Like, even on team piss-ups back in the day, like, people were telling me deep, dark. I'm just going, fuck. Like, what? Like, I'll sit there and listen. Like, thankfully, nothing's ever happened to those guys that were speaking to me personally. But I'm just like, fuck. Like, I feel like I felt sort of ungrateful because I felt lucky because I've had such a good upbringing. I've never had those sort of issues, as well. Like, I lean towards that sort of grateful side of it. But it's definitely scary, man. You just never know. What's Instagram and social media done to this? Like, has it magnified it? Has it?
I think, and again, I don't really have the statistics and the research backing what I'm about to say, but behind me in particular. But I think based on feedback and what a lot of people are saying in this space, I think social media is a double-edged sword. It can do really well for people, depending if they're using their channels correctly, or it can magnify issues. yeah, absolutely double-edged sword. I don't think you can say it's all bad and it's all good, because I think it's dependent on your means and why you utilize it, I guess, and what you look at it for as a person. Everyone's very different. People might scroll through people's feeds and think, oh, I'm not good enough, and look how good their life must be, and why is mine so shit? I'm the same age. I should have a house. I should have a relationship. I feel bad about myself.
Yeah,
Whereas
so
some people are wired differently, and they don't look at those things, and they might think, oh, beautiful. I'm happy for them. They're great. You know, it just depends on your mindset, man. It really does.
You see, they got rid of those like things yesterday.
Yes,
That's
I
good.
saw
Great
that.
thing,
What are your
great
thoughts
thing.
on that,
Yeah,
man?
I think that's great. So I went to dinner with Corey last night, and we were talking about it. He goes, "Why would people even care?" And I go, "Me and you are wired a little bit different. Like we don't care what people think of us in terms of likes. Like we'll just post anything." But I feel like everyone sort of gravitated towards the negative. And you know what the easy thing to do was? Blame like people going, influencers aren't going to be able to make money. But that's just hating as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like people got bag on influencers, but influencers have always been around. Good-looking people have always been around. Before Instagram was around, they were called models, and they still got paid.
Yeah, true.
So like people are like that. They're like, all these influencers aren't going to get no money. But like I don't look at it like that. The positive I look at it right now. So the word shame is how you perceive yourself through other people's eyes, and a lot of people won't post content because they're scared of what other people will think. So if I post content now and then only got so we're at 50,000 followers on it, YKTR. If like a good one, average one was like between 700 and 1,000. Best one we've had is 15,000. I used to think, if I don't get over 500, it's not that good of a content. But now no one can see. Now, like, I don't really care. So I'm just going to be going bam, 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 bang. Get that in here.
And I think, mate, it's really important because people will actually genuinely be interacting with the content now.
Yeah.
Not liking it because, oh, shit, they've liked it, I'm going to like it, you know? Or I think it takes away a lot of the perception. I think it protects a little bit of the... What am I trying to say here? It definitely protects a little bit of the comparison game where people are trying to compare themselves all the time and be judged off how many likes they've got on Instagram. And it's not going to affect any of the influencing stuff because that's not going to change anyway. Like you said, man. I mean, it is.
It's good-looking people exist. And they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
Find something else.
Yeah, true.
No, so the way I looked at it, I sort of explained it last night. Like, it gave the analogy of two card games. Like, there's poker and there's solitaire. Like, everyone's trying to play poker. Like everyone tries to keep their shit like close to their hands, going like this, and trying to bluff people to think that they're winning, that they've got the winning hand, but it's not always the case. Like when you play solid, like the way I see business and the way I've done business is I'm playing solitaire. All you guys can come watch me play. Like you can watch me dish out the cards. Here's all my cards that I'm putting down.
Yeah, you're not hiding them.
I'm not hiding anything of that. But what's the point of solitaire? You're trying to beat yourself. You're trying to, and that's how I see life now. And I come from a sports background where competition, you talked about it before, the comparison bias. There's an old saying, keeping up with the Joneses, which means trying to compare yourself to the neighbour. Like if they get a better car, oh shit, you want to one-up them. Guys are like that too. Like how many beers have you drank? Like how many girls have you slept with? Yeah. Girls are the same. Like how much did your bag cost? How big's your wedding ring? How much did you spend on your wedding? So we're always playing these sort of status games of like when you meet someone, Webby, you've been out a lot. When you meet someone, you go, what's the second question that they usually ask you?
What do you do for work? How much money are you getting paid?
Boom. What do you do? Fucking spot on. What's your name? What do you do for a job? Girls, because they want a status. Make it up. Go, I'm a doctor. Watch them treat you differently and go, I'm out of work at the moment, but I'm pursuing a passion. Fucking, this is walking off, aren't they?
Yeah, it's so true, man.
So we're just playing these and once you try and get out of that little mentality where you're playing status games, and like we're in a saturated industry with clothing, but we didn't compare ourselves to anyone because we're unique in our own standpoint. We're three mates based from footy. We didn't know nothing about football. We vlog, we podcast, like we're making water bottles soon. You know what I mean? So there's no competition for us because there's no one that's uniquely like us. So yeah.
And I also think, I mean, it's interesting that you brought that up, and I think obviously you guys are doing great work, and I think it's really just about being happy with where your journey's at in your life. And I think taking away the comparison game and keeping up with the Joneses and all this stuff, it doesn't really get you anywhere in life.
No, because there's just going to be a new Jones family that comes along.
There's always going to be someone bigger, better, and that's fine. Yeah. That's just going to happen. That's life. You know what I mean? Everyone has pains in their life. Everyone has their own struggles at some degree in their life, and no one's perfect. I find perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. You've just got to stay in your lane and do what makes you happy. And I think the more that you can focus on being the best version of yourself, doing the things that you enjoy, none of that other stuff matters. And I think that greatly affects how you're perceived yourself in the real world. and things like social media, life's challenges, they tend not to hurt as much when you build up that strength from within, I feel. And that's something that I've worked on for a number of years. And
where you at right now? Are you in a happy place, or are you still trying to get better, or what?
Mate, I'm always, as I said earlier, I'm a student of life. I love learning. I need to learn. I love creating. I love my passions that I work on.
What are your passions?
Passions is definitely, obviously, the mental health organization Livin, and setting that up now in the US. That's the next project. But also my acting. I want to pursue my acting as best as I possibly can.
What's the buzz about acting?
What's the buzz about acting, man? I think everything quiets down when I'm acting. I become really calm, and it's a great outlet for me. And when I say outlet, it's not an outlet as in I'm escaping the negative, because I'm not by any means. It's more of I'm going to a place it feels really safe, and I get to pretend to be someone else for a while instead of being Sam Webb. And I think that's fucking fascinating, man. I love that. I love it. I love it.
That's crazy, because I was talking about it with my girlfriend the other day, and I go, fucking acting would be a lot harder than people think.
It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Being someone else isn't easy, man. And the nuances and the small little gestures people do, and the way it's really hard, but I find it very fascinating. And my life these days is looking at people, like people watching. I find it cool as fuck.
Nosy?
So cool.
A little bit nosy?
Nah, not a little bit nosy, man. I just love just watching people, man. Everyone's different. No one's exactly the same. That's cool.
How'd you get into acting?
I should have gotten into a long time ago. I was pushed through to doing acting as a young as a young boy through my mum, and I never really did. I tried to pursue footy. It just wasn't quite good enough.
I know the feeling.
I had a couple of injuries. I just used them as excuses.
Yeah.
Couldn't pursue it anymore. Anyway, and I was a late bloomer into the acting space. I dabbled in it a little bit when I was really young, did some extra work and whatnot, but never really took it professionally. Then I went into acting school and got an agent. Long story short, landed a couple of small roles I was very lucky at, but it gave me a taste of what this industry is like. As you said, it's very hard. It's a 1% game. 1% of the people that out of the 100% of the people that actually do acting, 1% make it.
Yeah.
So the odds aren't in my favour, but that is something I'm interested in. I love the hard work that goes into it. I love anything that's a challenge. And man, I'm looking forward to this next chapter, definitely.
Do you know what's funny? When I look at an actor, I kind of look like an actor or actress from the outsider looking in. It just kind of people see it like how people see football. They go, "Oh fuck, that must be easy." You get to like play someone else, or you just stand in front of a camera, or you get to be a model and stand. Do you know what I mean? But I stayed with Nate Miles, and Tess was doing. Yeah. I stayed there for 3-4 days with him. Fuck, they worked so hard, man. The amount of auditions that they had to go through, and constant failure. Like just that no, like you. Here's a role, go apply for it. No. Like, do you know, just daily. Fuck, that must wear you down.
Yeah, you've got to have thick skin. You've got to be trained for rejection, and I think it's definitely not something that's cut out for everyone. It just really isn't. Like footy isn't, man. Like singing isn't. Like anything is building. Like I couldn't pick up a hammer to save myself.
Nah,
you know
me neither.
And that's I love that. I'm an office man. Leave me in the office. I get it done. But a lot of rejection, but that's just something that I thrive in. I love that.
Obviously, you're moving to America now. What's the plan? What's the big dream? Tell me.
Mate, the big plan. The next big plans is try and launch Livin USA. I want to get Livin on the ground in the States. In California.
There anything over there at the moment for that?
There's a lot of, there's charities and traditional charities, mental health organisations in a lot of places. There's a few cool things, but nothing very similar to Livin. I think Livin will do pretty good.
How do you guys separate yourselves from other brands?
How do we do that?
Yeah.
In terms of the message or what we're doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
As far as what we do, I think we try and stay relatable. I think there's a lot of great organisations out there doing an amazing work, and I think everyone's chasing great missions that are saving lives, and they're no doubt saving plenty of them. I think Livin and my vision behind it in particular is making sure it's relatable. It's cool and it's fresh.
How do you do that?
Let's sort of disrupt this space in a positive way, not disrupt it where no one's getting help, but disrupt it in a way where these guys are coming along doing shit that no other normal charity would probably touch, but they're making a difference. How can you do that? I think through apparel is one way we can do it, but I think through I think in the States in particular, I think film and TV will be a really good outlet for this. I think showing real, raw, honest shit without the fake filters will go a long way to breaking down these stigmas and giving people a voice that don't have the confidence to have their own voice, so to speak.
What have you found the biggest difference between Australian people and American people?
American people are probably a lot more they're a lot more patriotic. They're a lot more passionate about their states.
Fucking hope they are,
They
yeah.
are insane, man. And I like that. I love that. Like it's like it's their way or no way. You know, they're not as open minded. They are actually. I can take that back. I find LA in particular is a thriving, a thriving city, and there's a lot of creativity going on there, and it's definitely contagious. And that's what I need to be around.
Do you know what I love when I go over there? Just talking to random people. So I'll jump in Ubers a lot, and I just talk to like the Uber drivers and that, and they're all just so optimistic about life, eh? Like they'll be driving Uber, goes, I've been doing this for like the last 5-10 years. Like I love it.
And juggling about 2 or 3 other things. That
yeah.
one might be an artist, they might be songwriting. You meet some amazing people in Ubers over there, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So such a different crowd than what you meet here in Australia.
Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, good.
How are you going?
Don't talk to me. That's basically what happens, eh? So yeah, Livin. Do you know what I love about your little game plan right now? You're trying to use all the things that you're passionate about, same way I've done with YKTR, but just have like your clothes at the bottom of the sales funnel, they're going to generate capital and all that sort of stuff. But you love acting, you love your message. You're trying to integrate all 3 of these things, and it makes it look so much fun to be around, isn't it?
So much fun, man. It's cool. It's like more energy or something.
Yeah.
What have you found with running with YKTR and stuff? Like,
My first passion used to be photography. Like I used to just love taking photos, and I made a couple of videos, loved doing that, and then like designing clothes is quite cool, but it's not like, we're not a technical brand. We put YKTR on a t-shirt. It's not fucking groundbreaking shit, is it? But I just really loved, and then I was big into reading, and I got big into reading books about business. So my passion sort of lied around entrepreneurship and creating content.
yeah.
And that's where I'm at now, and that's essentially how I built YKTR this. But now podcasting's fucking like, this is my new thing now. I love doing this as well.
Yeah, and it's taking off. I mean, podcasting is it's going viral, and mate, you shared some of the stats with me the other night when we were out having a couple of tequilas, and you said like it's obviously picking up, momentum, and it's making a massive difference. So you should be proud of the work that you're doing too.
Thanks, bro. And I'm at that point now where, like, obviously we need to hire people for YKTR, but I want to change the narrative of how people work over here. Like, we've been taught as like blue collar people, like, you have to trade time for money. Like, you have to go to work. If you don't work, you don't make money. So I'll kind of really want to break down them walls and stuff like that as well, where it gives just an average blue collar person like I was growing up, like, just alternative perspectives. Because when we grow up, you can only process your brain can only process what your eyes can see. So when you're growing up, you saw footy or potentially what your parents done, or as your ways of jobs, you know what I mean? Or your teachers telling you go to uni. You have to go to uni to get a good job, to get paid good money. With the internet now, it's just opened up so many other like universes where you can just fucking do whatever you fucking want.
Yeah.
But you could be passionate about fucking Pokemon, you know what I mean? Potentially make money off it.
Yeah, very true.
Start a podcast on it, start talking about it, get advertised and get paid for that. You might get paid $40,000 a year, but you're doing what you love.
Yeah, so true, man.
Yeah, and like,
you're not looking at those 9 to 5s no more. You know, it goes much greater than that now, and there's a lot more access to people doing things that they have actually dreamt of doing. It's more realistic these days.
We've got so much more opportunity, don't we?
Much more, man.
Yeah. So let's wind it back a little bit. We've gone to America. Let's roll back to survival.
Oh fuck!
How's that, bro? Is that
Mate,
all right?
I'm a bit upset. I wish I was going to get a call back for this episode, this season. But mate, it was probably I'd say probably one of the greatest challenges I've ever faced in my life mentally, I think, because you're like, I had an ambassador say, Sam, you should try it for Survivor. And I fucking, no word of a lie, man. I didn't watch an episode. I didn't watch an episode because we were the official season 1 of Australian Survivor that was in the same format of the US version. Yeah. There was a couple of Australian ones, but they weren't the same format. Anyway, I remember applying for it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to do these challenges, because she's like, there's like big challenges. And I was watching little Australian excerpts I did just before, like, I put my final application. It'd be pretty cool if I got through it. And then we're thinking, fuck, it's going to be great. I'm sure they'll give us beds or something. It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Got in, and long story short, I was one of the 24 castaways put on the island in Samoa, and lovely country that is, mate, too, by the way. Love those guys over there, amazing.
You have to love them. They're so big, aren't they?
Yeah, no, but they're so friendly, man. Yeah. And it's a great place. I need to get back there on holiday and not be struck on an island. But
Man, you got to go to Cook Islands, man. That's where me and Lexi are from.
yeah, I know. I haven't been there. It looks
beautiful,
epic
beautiful.
too.
Yeah, that's the country you got to go to.
Whereabouts is that exactly? Like on the map,
it's like,
between Samoa and New Zealand?
Yeah,
or?
it's around that sort of area. I think it's
Okay.
north of New Zealand. It's about
Yeah.
3 hours, maybe about 3 and a bit from here. I don't know if you can fly direct, but get there.
Yeah,
Game
sweet.
changer.
I'll have to. They should do a Survivor on there. But long story short, man, you're in your mind the whole time. So I got there and the challenges were great, but I soon realised what the game was about. You're deceiving each other. You're lying. It's about teaming up, and it really
You went
is.
with it? You went with it? Or did you start playing the game or what?
No, I tried to play, but then I went, fuck it. I'm going to be on national TV. I'm going to try and play this as honest as I possibly can. And I was asking questions to the other castaways in my tribe. And I'm like, so what's a immunity idol? And they looked at me like I was just some dude off a different planet because they're all survivor junkies. And they thought I was saying that because it was my strategy. Like, it's a strategy. And for me, man, I didn't know anything about it. I was there for the challenges and having a good time. But, mate, you're in your head most of the game because if it's not caught on camera, it didn't happen. So they don't let you talk. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes shit that is really difficult, mate, to deal with. You're
like what?
Like in the pitch black, blindfolded and all that sort of stuff. It's not allowed to talk, only talk at certain times. It's really hard, man. So you spend a lot of time in your own thoughts. I thought the best thing about it was being totally disconnected from the world.
You would be, eh? Yeah.
Didn't even read a paper for 60 days.
Crazy.
Didn't know what nothing looked like. Didn't even have a phone for 64 because they take it off you before the game and then after the game for a week. And I was fortunate enough to make Jury Villa, and it's a great experience. Learn a lot about myself, man. Learn more about myself in that 2.5 months than I have in my whole entire life, and I learn a lot about other people.
Is that because you're
struggles.
disconnected from technology or what?
That, but I had a chance to slow right down and think about what was happening right fucking now.
So you're in the moment.
I was really present, and we all bound together. I I struggled hard on that game. I wanted to run away, get my passport and quit the game, but I was like, fuck, what are my family and friends going to think if I decided to quit? I'm going to look like a loser. And that's where that mentality of being a man comes into play. Like, fucking macho, man. I was struggling, man. Like, there was 3 or 4 days there I didn't sleep a wink because it was raining. And they put you on the island in wet season, so it rains every night and you don't sleep.
What do they put you in just to make it harder?
Yeah, and you got to build your own huts. You're sleeping on... It's the real deal, mate. It's the hardest but the most rewarding experience that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, crazy.
Hand on my heart.
All right, so it's about 40 minutes. Good time for a podcast. But here's a question I'm going to start asking a lot of people. I stole this question anyway. This ain't my question, people. If you had to prescribe something that someone had to do for an hour, for a month, every single day, what would it be?
So they have to do something for an hour every day for 30 days.
They have to do something every day for 30 days for an hour. Have to?
I'll be honest, probably read. I'd read.
Why reading for you?
Because you learn a lot, man. You learn a lot reading and you get a different perspective than yourself. You get to read the minds of other people.
100%.
It's very, very important.
Do you find reading better than podcasts?
Yep. For me, I like reading. I
What?
don't listen to many podcasts, man, to be honest. I've been asked to do my own many times, and I think it'd be great. And you learn a lot as well, which I'm sure you're learning right now, but I like physically the thought of picking up a book and fucking reading it. Yeah. I just bought a new one, actually, I'm about to read, called The Lean Startup.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah.
It's meant to be good.
So, all right, let's roll off the back of that. Favourite book ever?
Favourite book ever? These are probably corny answers, but I like the fucking Eckhart Tolle one, The Power of Now is good.
Yeah, that's
but
cool.
I also like, what's that other one where the little kid goes into the villages and then I forget, what's it called?
The Alchemist?
The Alchemist.
Hey, that's my favourite book too.
Yeah,
but that's my sort of cliche answer. But
Yeah.
what I found with people with reading, they'll ask me what's your 5 favourite books, and I'll give them my cliche 5 answers, but there's not stuff that naturally they're like passionate about, you know what I mean? So I always go, just read something you love until you learn to love to read.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer that you don't actually, and something that I got caught up in a while, I was buying books and reading them, and I was thinking, I have to just read the whole thing. But I'm like these days, if you just don't like it, put it down. Go and grab another one.
I've done a whole podcast on this.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's like, don't waste your time. Go and grab another one. There's books everywhere. You know, there's something to be learned, I think, in every book. No matter how small or how big the takeaway is, there's always something that you won't know that you will know once you pick that book up.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the best thing about
you
it.
only need to learn one little thing a day, eh?
It's a
just
success.
one. Yeah.
One little thing. And, mate, we're both creators. We love creating shit, whether it's for content or whether it's businesses or acting or creating, whatever it is. we need to be learning. That's part of our DNA. And we need to be reading new material and finding what works, what doesn't work.
Do you know what my theory on reading is? And it's kind of my theory on writing down things with pen and paper instead of on your phone. It's just because it's been around a lot longer and our brain sort of process that over time, do you know, over generations. This is just my theory anyway. But yeah, like I have to, if I write something down on pen and paper, I'll remember it straight away. If I put it on my phone, I just fucking forget it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with podcasts. I love podcasts. I fucking obviously run one as well and love the people to listen to it. But for me to learn, I learn better reading.
Yeah.
And because of like, I don't know, because I've read so much over the course of my life and podcasts are a new thing, but just something magical about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can tap into the mind of some of the greatest people that have ever lived in the whole world that are dead now. They've written a fucking book that sells for like $3-4.
Yeah. And you know what I like about it too, man, is the fact that your mind gets to work, I think, a bit better. For some reason, I find, and this is just from my little bit of experience with podcasts, I find that with books, it sticks better because your mind has a chance to actually take it in. Yeah, you can re-listen and stuff to podcasts, but you can use your imagination more, I find, with books. Really important, man.
Even with the fiction stuff, Like, hey, and then when you go watch the movie, you're like, fuck, I don't really picture it like that. Or like, fuck, they're missing key parts of it.
Yeah.
But
the book was way better than the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a real successful guy that I listen to at the moment, heaps. His name's like Naval. He does a great podcast with Joe Rogan. He's super smart. He's worth like $2.2 billion. He's an angel investor, but he talks on like philosophy and that as well. And the way he reads, he goes, I'd rather understand 10 books front to back of like some of the classics than read like 1,000, because then that becomes like a status thing. And that's something I used to do. I was like, yeah, I've read 100 books. It's just a fucking cock measuring thing as well, isn't it? But the way he reads now is he'll read one page and then let his mind wander off the back of that. Like, obviously it'd be a really, really good book, but if it's shit, he just put it down, like you said. If it's shit, put it down.
Yeah, and don't like, and grab another one. Books, like you said, they're $4 or $5 each. Like they're cheap, and you can get them online, next day delivery these days.
Do you know what my theory on books is? Like, in theory, they could probably get the content of it out in 10 pages, but no one's going to spend $30 on a 10-page leaflet, are they?
Nah.
So they flesh it out with all this fucking bullshit that you
Make it
don't
look
really
pretty
need.
and make it look nice and
Put a good cover on it and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, like, I'm similar to you. I'll try and find the really good parts in the book and then fucking roll off the back of that.
I definitely haven't read 100 books, mate. I'll tell you right now. The reason why is because I'm actually a pretty slow reader, and I could resonate with what's his name, Naval. I do read really slow. I'm a slow reader because I like to process what I'm reading, and then I like to actually understand it. I can't flick a page unless I really understand what I've read. Otherwise, it's just I'm just doing this. This is now a chore. It's not something I enjoy. As soon as it ever becomes that, whether it's my career or my passions, I'm on to the next one, man. You got to do it because you enjoy it, not because it's a chore.
Fuck, we're so similar because everyone sees YKTR right now, but I tell people, like, if I've done something else that I was more passionate about, I'd happily leave it or like try and sell it to someone or like let one of the boys take over. Fuck, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, imagine the boys.
Imagine
Have a
Normie.
look at them.
Imagine Normie and Chico running a business. It'd be a laugh for a bit anyway.
There'd be tequilas all around.
Yeah, this office would be up to no good if these boys are coming in.
Yeah.
Long-term goal for you?
Mate, long-term goal for me in personal, professional, either or. You know, I love Australia. Australia's where the home is, where my, it's where my family is. Like, I'd love to live here full-time, is my long-term goal. But for this next chapter, the US is what I want to do. I want to set up Livin to a stage where the movement's bigger. It's humming itself over there without me running it day to day, so to speak. I want to be a full-time actor. That's my goal. That's what I want to do.
Sick. Good, man. All right, so where can people find you?
People can find me online. They can find us via livin.org on Instagram, or me, Sam Webb, SAMWEBB.
Good, man. I wish you nothing but success and your business success. I'm sure we'll have a few more beers in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, bro.
No worries, brother.